All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live and we ready to give you the game. Welcome to the Ramon Preston Show. If you are coming on during this live, I need you to do me a few favors. Number one, I need you to hit the like button. I need you to hit the share button. And I need you to tag Lolly Dolly everybody and let them know. Prophet Ramon, the squad, we are live right here in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Today is Monday, March the 7th, 2022. We're 7 days into the month of March. What an extraordinary year it's been. And I'm just super excited about all the great things that God is going to do for you and through you. So if you're coming on, please do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the share button, tag somebody, let them know. Prophet Ramon, the Ramon Preston Show, we're live today. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Ramon Preston Show. I am your host, Ramon Preston, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the basics of estate planning. Now, one of the reasons why I want to talk to you about estate planning, because I believe that this is a very taboo topic, especially in the black community, at least among the people that I was raised with, and you know, the people that I've run with, and just the circles that I've been a part of. It's very hard to have a lot of conversations about certain areas of life, and so I just knew that today I wanted to take some time to talk about estate planning, at least the basics of estate planning. I'm actually introducing a new program on the Millionaire Blueprint, which is our online training program. I'm introducing a new program that's going to be teaching you and showing you how to properly plan for your estate, at least with regard to trusts, wills, and other documents like power of attorneys and things that will at least provide a level of peace to you at any stage of your life and even after your life. Now, why is estate planning such a taboo topic? Well, a lot of people don't want to talk about where they are in their life. They don't want to talk about where they may be in their life in the future. And they don't even want to talk about when their life is over. People just try to avoid death. They try to avoid conversations about death as if we ain't gonna die, or at least leave this side of eternity. But we have to have these conversations, y'all, because when we don't have these conversations, a lot of things go wrong. One of the most important things to go wrong is that we do not plan. We do not plan for our current quality of life. We do not plan for our future quality of life. And we definitely don't plan for our death. And so what happens subsequently? What happens is anytime someone dies in a community or in a family that does not understand estate planning, that hasn't taken the time to properly plan for their estate, what happens typically is that person dies. They might not have life insurance, and as a result we have to do GoFundMes, or we just have to scrap and figure out how we can bury our family, and then it leaves the family in pain. I've been through this. This is one of the reasons why this discussion is near and dear to my heart. I've been through this. Okay, I've been through this same situation, and I know how hard it is. I know how hard it is when you trying to grieve and mourn because a family member died and you don't have no insurance. It's just horrible. And so all of it is centered around estate planning. It's not just about having an insurance policy, even though that's one component. So here's what I want to do. I want to at least help you understand the basics of estate planning, but I want to paint a bigger picture for you as well, so that you can see why this taboo topic doesn't need to be taboo. So if you are married, if you are a parent with children, if you are the head of your household, guess what? You need to understand the basics of estate planning. Let me just give you one example. I got so many examples. I got so much I want to share with you. But please keep in mind, if I'm rambling too much and if you miss some of the points that I make today, but you know you want access to this information, you want to learn more about this information, or if you just would like for me and my team to walk you through certain processes of you making sure you have a plan, we're offering this as a program in our Millionaire Blueprint. We're introducing it to our new program. So within the next couple of weeks, we're going to have a full suite of documents and forms and training modules available for you on the Millionaire Blueprint so that you can learn the basics of estate planning. But I didn't want to wait until we had all of our paperwork and documents complete to put on the platform. I wanted to have this conversation with you today because guess what? Estate planning has a lot to do with just about every other area of your life. So here's where I'll start. I'll start with what estate planning actually is. And I want to give you just like a simple version. Of course, you can Google some of this stuff. All you got to do is Google the term estate plan. You know, Google what is estate planning, and what you're going to find out is estate planning is about you. Let me just give you my little easy definition, because you know I make everything as simple as possible. So when you think about estate planning, here's what I want you to think about. I want you to think about anticipation and arrangement during your life. So when you think about estate planning, we're thinking about anticipation and arrangement during your life for the management, for the management, and even for the disposal of whatever assets you're going to leave to your family. Now, this could be one or two cases. It could be when you're incapacitated, where you're at an age or you in a situation in your health that you ain't able to take care of yourself, right? You ain't able to make the decisions for yourself. Or it could be when you pass away, when you die. Somebody's going to have to take over your personal assets or your responsibilities. This is one of the reasons why I think a lot of people in our community, particularly the Black community, we don't have these conversations because we feel like we don't have no estate to make a plan on. But that's really not true. So I'll give you an example. If you are a parent, you could be on a fixed income, you could be getting food stamps, you could be on government assistance, but you got kids, right? Well, what's going to happen to you? What's going to happen to your kids if something happens to you? What would happen if you're incapacitated, or if you die, God forbid, and you have not thought these things through? And you got 2 or 3 or 4 kids, or maybe you got 1 or 2 kids, I don't know. But I'm just giving you an example of how this will negatively or positively affect your life. Well, what's going to happen is the courts are going to decide who becomes the guardian or the custodian of those kids, or whatever happens to those kids. You know why? Because you didn't plan for your estate. Now, it goes deeper than that with those of you that have businesses. You have assets. You may have a house. You may have houses. You may have cars. You may have things that are valuable to you. I've seen so many families broken apart because the leader of that family passed away or was incapacitated, meaning that they were no longer able to take care of themselves. And because they didn't have certain paperwork, because they didn't have certain documents, because they didn't have certain forms, guess what happened? Their family got in a mess because they did not plan for their estate. So let's just establish the fact that when you talk about estate planning, you're talking about the anticipation and the arrangement during your life of the things that you're going to leave to your family. So whether it's your children that you have that are small, whether it's insurance policies, whether it's business or businesses, whether it's other assets or heirlooms or things that are valuable to you, these are all the things that you have to take into consideration with the anticipation and the arrangement to make sure whatever it is that your wishes are to be done, if you cannot make those decisions, whether you're incapacitated or dead, you have properly planned for that. Now, one of the reasons why this is being included in my Millionaire Blueprint is because I give you the 5 steps for a millionaire plan in my blueprint. And so the 5th step is for you to get wealthy, for you to be a blessing, and for you to leave a legacy of success, a legacy of wealth. Well, one of the ways to leave a legacy of success is to make sure that you have properly planned for your estate. And again, one of the reasons why I can talk about this is because it took me years. It took me years to figure this out. You know, I used to always see wealthy families and, you know, like the trust fund babies. And I used to always wonder, how did those families create those types of scenarios or situations where the grandkids are living off of what granddaddy did, or the family has a piece of land that they all use for vacations because grandma put it in a trust, and all these types of things. And I used to wonder, man, how can we have that for our family? How can we actually have that for our community? And of course, it took me a while to educate myself and to develop the understanding so that I could implement it in my own life. But once I implemented it in my life, to make sure that me and my family and my children and children's children and my descendants at least had something that we can build to look back and say, oh, somebody did the right thing. Somebody planned for their life and for their future. Once I figured it out, I was like, I have to make this available for my people and for my community. And that's one of the reasons why I'm adding this whole new program to our Millionaire Blueprint. So before you get into it, just because you might be at a place in your life where you like, okay, I'm just trying to work a job and get paid, Ramon, or I'm just trying to get my business started. So how does estate planning even play into what I'm doing when I don't have any assets? I don't have any real estate. I don't own anything of value. Where do I begin, even when it comes to my estate planning? I'm gonna show you where it begins at. Your estate planning should begin with your personal financial planning. This is where your estate planning should begin. Your estate planning should begin with your personal financial plan. So that means you've got to not necessarily go to somebody at Charles Schwab and sit down with them and have this consultation. Your personal financial plan has everything to do with you taking the time to gather information and do the math on a few very important things. Number one, well, I just put number one. Number one, you want to gather information and do the math on your current quality of life. Okay? So this is what you want to start gathering information on and doing the math on, your current quality of life. What do you mean by my current quality of life? Well, I need to figure out the life that I'm living right now. How much money does it take for me to live my current quality of life? All right. So that means you got to look at all your income. You got to look at all your expenses. And you got to see what kind of cash flow you have. Like, this is the basics of a financial plan. All right. Because again, we want to get you to estate planning. We want to get you to a point to where you're able to sit down and start drafting the documents and the forms that are needed and necessary for your overall estate, especially if you have certain responsibilities. If you're the head of your household, if you're the breadwinner for the family, if you're married, if you got children, if you have a business, you might be a pastor, you have a church, you have to have some form of an estate plan. You have to map that out. You cannot afford to leave any potential situations or scenarios to show up without you having planned out and mapped out what should happen in the event that you are not able to make those decisions. All right? We'll just leave it like that. I ain't gonna say you died, but if you're not able to make those decisions, what's going to happen. What's going to happen to your family? What's going to happen to your business? What's going to happen to your ministry? What's going to happen to your assets? What's going to happen to everything that's associated to you? That's the estate plan. But before we get there, we want to start here. Let's put a personal financial plan together. How are we going to put a personal financial plan together? We want to look at what our current quality of life is. What do you mean my current quality of life? How you living? How much money do you have coming in? And how much money do you have going out? And how much money you have left? You have to put a personal financial plan together. This is not something you're going to hold somebody else responsible to do. You ain't going to be able to sit down with some financial advisor and think that they're going to figure all this out for you. You got to do the math too, because if you sit down with them, they're going to ask you, how much money you making? How much money you spending? How much money you got left? And once you do the math on these things, you're able to identify with what your current quality of life is. Because this is how you're going to build an infrastructure for your estate as a whole, if that makes sense. So let me explain to you what I mean by that. If your income, let's say, is $2,000. I'm just using hypothetical numbers. If your income is $2,000 and your expenses are let's say $1,800 a month. We know those numbers are low. We know it's not real. Okay, but I just want to give you this for an example. And you have a $200 a month cash flow. You got $200 a month extra. Well, at least you know what your current quality of life is. You know that it's going to take about $2,000 for you to live in order to be able to pay your expenses and have $200 extra. That's hypothetical, but at least you have an idea of what your current quality of life is. A lot of people don't even know what their current quality of life is. And if this number is just based on your needs, you may have to factor in a dollar amount for your wants. And maybe this is not the proper amount to cover your needs. So you got to really do the math on how much money is it actually going to take for me to live a basic quality life. Like, in order for all my bills to be paid, in order for me to not be under pressure, in order for me to live in peace and not be stressed out every pay period or in between pay periods, how much money does it take? Because if all you're making is $2,000, but let's say it takes $2,800 for you to live, that means you're negative $800 a month. And so you've got to build an infrastructure to at least bring your current quality of life to a place to where you are able to live in peace. And here's the thing, when you start doing the math on your personal financial plan, there are other things you need to factor into your personal financial plan that sometimes we overlook, because I've done it. Now, one of the courses that I have in my Millionaire Blueprint is called the ABCs of Financial Literacy. The ABCs of Financial Literacy. And it really helps you to understand the basics of estate planning, beginning with a personal financial plan. And in that course, I teach on the 7 components of accounting. The 7 components of accounting. One of those components of accounting is called risk management. And again, I know we're talking about estate planning, so let me just put estate planning down here. We're talking about estate planning, but the problem is we never make it to estate planning because we never really do the math on our personal financial life. Or in other words, we never do the math on what does it actually take for us to live our current quality of life. So when you're doing the math on your personal financial plan, this is going to be a personal financial plan. You have to take into consideration, number 1, your current quality of life. So we got to do the math on that. And we got to make sure that we have a number, a dollar amount for our current quality of life that satisfies the needs, and maybe it has to satisfy the wants. So it doesn't mean you're making the dollar amount that you may need in order to live a sustainable quality life, but you still need to at least know that number. Because if you're making $1 amount, but you do the math on your current quality of life and you see that you need this dollar amount just to be at peace, then that spread is going to help you determine what type of plan you need to put together in order to move forward to reach that place. A lot of people never put a plan together, so guess what they do? They just live their lives struggling every pay period or every year. Or like what we see happening around this time of the year, and I'm not knocking people, but what I'm just saying to you is having an income tax return that comes in during this time of the year is not a financial plan. Okay, it's not a financial plan, and it will never help you create a legitimate estate plan. And again, if you are a parent, if you are a spouse, if you are the breadwinner, the head of your household, you need to get here. You need to get to a place to where you got this in stone, no matter if you don't own a house, no matter if you don't own a car, no matter if you don't own other assets. The asset of you has to be important, because you are the main asset of your estate, especially if you got kids or you got a spouse or you have responsibilities that people depend on you. You have to have this in place. But this is going to be a result of you at least making sure that you do the math on your personal financial plan. And it begins by you determining what your current quality of life is by the dollar amount. How much money does it take for you to live at least at peace every month? Okay? And whatever that dollar amount is, then at least you know you have to factor into that dollar amount certain risk management components. So a lot of people don't factor that in. Like, for example, if you do a house, I'm just showing you how this works. You got house, you got car, you got food, you got gas. What else you got? You got utilities. Like, you have to put a list together to figure out what all does it take for me to live a quality life, meaning that I'm at least at peace knowing my necessities, my needs are taken care of every 30 days. What is that dollar amount? One thing you have to factor into this is insurance. Most people, because I've done it myself, most people never add this. Most people never add that. Most people never add that. That's one of the biggest things that's missing. So if you add up the house, let's say if the house is $1,500 a month, the car $500, food $500, gas $200, utilities $200. So we're already at what, 2,027, that's 2,900. Well, guess what? You need to add insurance. So you may think, oh, I got $2,900 a month I spend to take care of all my responsibilities. Well, the truth is you haven't done the real math on your current quality of life, because it's really not 2,900. Technically, you should also have savings in there, like me putting some money aside. Now, if you're watching me and you're saying, Ramon, this is so unrealistic. No, it's not unrealistic. It's unrealistic for you to think it's unrealistic, because you have made it up in your mind that as long as you got money to take care of the things that are important to you, that you're good. But if you got kids, if you have other responsibilities, if people depend on you, guess what? You are in a state. You are in a state, and you should assume the fiduciary responsibility of being in a state, being a leader, being a parent, being a decision maker, being a breadwinner. You should assume the fiduciary responsibility to make sure that you do the math on this. Well, I don't know how to do it. Well, that's why people like me talking about it, because we want to inform you and we want to give you access to information. Well, ain't nobody got time to be buying all that stuff. Well, it's like you saying you ain't got time to put your priorities in order. You have to have time. You have to invest money. You have to put yourself in a position to where you do this, because when I came to the conclusion at a certain point in my life that I was responsible for my wife, for my kids, for my grandkids, for my family, and I'm like, man, I'm around here tripping. I'm around here trying to ball out and flex, and just, it don't matter how little of a flex it was. The fact that I'm not taking care of the things that need to be taken care of, number one, is causing me stress, because I don't have a peace of mind. But then I'm playing Russian roulette with life, because if anything happens to me, it's going to be trouble for a lot of people. And I'm telling y'all, I went through this firsthand. I know how hard it is to have to do this, but once you do it, your life is going to change, because the level of peace that I have in my life, because I took care of a lot of these things, you can't even put a dollar amount on that level of peace. But I also know how it feels to not have this stuff situated. But then I'm waking up every day stressed out and under pressure, because I know, man, if anything happens to me, my family might have to do a GoFundMe. Like, I know how that feels, to wake up every day and feel like, God knows I better not die, because, man, it's going to be a whole lot of sad people just because I'm gone. But then on top of that, I'm leaving them with a lot of stress for years to come. So we got to fix that problem. So again, it starts with your personal financial plan. How do you put a personal financial plan together? You look at your current quality of life. And the way you look at your current quality of life is you itemize all the things that you need in order to at least be at peace every 30 days. How much money does it take for you to live? Now, again, we know you need a place to stay. We know you may need a car. We know you need food. You need gas for your car. You need utilities. Anything else should not come before insurance, because you need some health insurance and you need some life insurance. Okay? You gotta have that. Like, this is a conversation that I'm starting to hear more people have, and I'm so thankful for this, because when a family member dies and we do not at least have life insurance, or when someone becomes incapacitated or unable to work to make the money to maintain their quality of life because they don't have health insurance, it just makes it even harder on them and on the family. So when you're buying insurance, I like to tell people a lot of times, I try to insure everything. I got insurance for everything. And one of the reasons why I pay for insurance for all kind of stuff, I got everything insured, is because I'm really just buying a peace. I'm buying peace. It's not even really insurance. It's just a peace of mind I'm paying for, because I may not even use it, right? But I'm paying for a peace of mind to know that if, God forbid, anything other than what I think is going to happen happens, I know me and my family are covered, because I am the manager of my estate while I'm living. And I know I don't want my wife, I don't want my children, I don't want my grandchildren, I don't want my siblings, I don't want my church family, I don't want my spiritual leaders, I don't want my community to be going through by the fact something happened to me. But then on top of that, they're going through because I didn't do my due diligence. I had no plan. So we don't want to do that. We're changing that narrative. We're changing that narrative. As a matter of fact, I'm so blessed because one of my coaching clients, she's a spiritual daughter. She goes to our church. She's one of our coaching clients. She just, within the last few months, we've been walking with her through this process, coaching her. And she's finally gotten her license for her insurance business. And she's able to literally write policies. And I'm super excited because I told her, I'm like, everybody around me needs to have at least a life insurance policy. I mean, at least. Like, you need to have that before you go on vacation. You need to have that before you go get another car. And if you're watching me, especially if you know you're going to be getting an income tax return, before you ball out, before you do all this other goofy stuff that means nothing, and I'm just be the one to be a straight shooter to you today, before you do all this stupid stuff, get yourself some doggone life insurance and some health insurance. If you ain't got life insurance and you got health, get some life insurance and start figuring out what your financial plan needs to look like. Even if it's just a little bit that you set aside in savings, you need to add this to your monthly bill. That needs to be added to your bill. Because if you were out here driving a doggone car and you paying $600-700 a month for a car to impress people, and God forbid you die and your kids ain't got nothing because you ain't got no doggone life insurance, then come on. You know I'm telling the truth. And I'm going to keep talking about this because, listen, I used to take those kind of risks. I'm from the hood, you know, ghetto, and I know how we think. I know how we think. Don't let this suit and me articulate words and sound real intelligent fool you. I'm from the hood. I'm just as ghetto as all outdoors. I used to live in the street, so I know how we think. And one thing we ain't thinking about is no doggone insurance. We just risk takers. We live on the edge every day. Because I did it as a man of God, as a husband, as a father, as a leader. I did it. There was a time in my life that I did it. I wasn't studying no insurance. And I used as an excuse, oh, I ain't got the money, I can't afford it. No, dog, it ain't that you can't afford it. You're just not being responsible. I wasn't being responsible because it's not like any time I didn't have insurance that I didn't go out to eat. It's not like I didn't do certain things that I wanted to do. It's not like I didn't buy clothes. I remember a time I had a cell phone and didn't have insurance. So there's no excuse. It's no excuse. It's just that we have not prioritized things, and we haven't prioritized things because we have been programmed to be numb to the reality of this type of conversation. We don't want to talk about this. That's why I say it's taboo, especially in the black community, because we think we just gonna overlook our current quality of life. No, you got to sit down or stand up or do something and do the math on this. So in this scenario, let's say if it was $2,900. Well, if you added health and life insurance, that might be another $600 or more, depending on what kind of insurance you got. Savings, if you just save 10%, which it should be more if you follow my millionaire plan, but let's just say for the purpose of this example, if you save in 10%, that would be at least $300 a month. So the truth is, you don't need $2,900 a month. You actually need $3,800 a month. Now you like, excuse me, I don't make $3,800 a month. Well, that's a part of the plan. Now we got to put a financial plan together to see what moves you need to make, what strategies you need to implement in order to make this number go up in your income. Because there's only so much you can do to decrease just with that. But if you got all this other stuff on your list of expenses and you ain't got these things, it's because you do not have a personal financial plan. So that's going to be step one. That's going to be step one for you to identify your current quality of life. Okay, another thing that, man, what's going on? This weather tripping. Got my throat clogged up a little bit. So let me write this again. Matter of fact, for those of you that are watching me live, give me some feedback on if you think what I'm saying is true and if you think what I'm saying is really needed in our community. I would love to hear back from you. Those of you that are watching, let me know what you think about this conversation. If you are a leader, especially you pastors and church leaders that watch me and listen to me, come on, we got to get off of this other thing that we on and stop perpetuating the same cycle. We need to start having this conversation with our members. We need to have this conversation with our leaders. We need to have this conversation with our community as leaders in our churches. We can't think we're going to keep shouting over stuff we need to talk about. And see, I'm going to be the one to hold you to the fire on that. I'm going to pull that rug from up under you. That's why a lot of preachers don't want to do business with me or just be around me, because they know I'm gonna call you out on that crap. Now, if you tripping, I'm calling you out on it, because you need to take responsibility for the people that you leading. And it doesn't mean that you got to become the guru in this or the expert in this, but at least facilitate it. At least facilitate it, meaning that at least bring people in who you can come into alignment with to share this information with your people. It's ridiculous for us not to, because we are doing our people a disservice, whether we're church leaders, whether we're community leaders. If you're a leader in your community and you're doing better than most of your community, well, maybe that's not for you to do, but facilitate it. Well, people just don't want. Well, who said that? You're assuming people don't want it. Maybe your approach to it is wrong. Maybe if you approached it different, or maybe you just don't know how to deal with it. Maybe you need to sit down with other people who have different perspectives. Maybe you need to see it from a different angle. So we can't approach people who already getting beat up with this indignant, aggressive, bitter mentality, as if people don't want what we giving them. Says who? Says who? There was a time somebody would have said that about you. Oh, you don't want what they giving you. It's not that you didn't want it. You were just ignorant of it. You were so beat down and suppressed and oppressed that maybe you just didn't understand the value of it. Maybe you didn't understand the importance of it. So I'm not saying you just keep burning yourself out for people, but what I am saying is, as a leader, you have to at least help to facilitate it. So the first part is you identifying with your current quality of life, right? So that's your current quality of life. Can I just abbreviate that? Current quality of life. But then you need to look at your future quality of life. Your future quality of life. So your current quality of life equals your working years. The years that you're able to work and do what you do. We want to know how much it takes for you to live. Why? Because a part of the plan, a part of the financial plan, is to make sure that we can at least cover our current quality of life in the event we're not able to work, in the event a pandemic takes place, in the event the world is quarantined, in the event everything shuts down, in the event I'm incapacitated and unable to work. In the event of any of that, I want to know what my current quality of life is in dollar amounts for my working years. But then I want to look at my future quality of life, and my future quality of life, it reflects my after work years. Now, this is a big issue for your personal financial plan, because, and I'm not saying this in a disrespectful way, but what I'm saying is, a lot of times when you have not put a personal financial plan together for your future quality of life, your after work years, what happens is, once you're no longer working, whether you just choose to retire and not work a full-time job, or whether you were forced to because of some health condition or issue, or maybe a family issue, you had to take care of a child or something, or a family member. What happens is, when we don't have a personal financial plan in place for that, we realize that the money it takes to live in our future quality of life, we don't have enough money coming in. You get what I'm saying? So for example, if you stopped working today and you never worked again, you would be considered in your future quality of life. No matter what age you are, you could be 30. If you decided not to work no more, you are in your after work years, point blank period, whether you're 30 or whether you're 70. But if you made that decision, or if that decision had to be made, can you afford the expenses that you have in your current quality of life? Can you afford that lifestyle? Most people, when they get into their after work years, they may depend on retirement, they may depend on Social Security, and they realize the amount of retirement or Social Security money that's coming in is not enough to afford the quality of life they were living in their working years. And so guess what happens? They got to go back out there and work. they got to keep grinding. They got to keep hustling. Or family members got to come in and help take care of them. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that. All I'm saying is at least do the math. And especially those of us that are in the black community, we're in the faith community. I've seen a lot of people that have served in ministry for years and years and years, and they get to a point that they can't do in ministry what they did 30 or 40 years ago. And because these things were not understood, they were not properly calculated correctly, there were no successful plans put together, what happens is they find themselves still struggling. And it's just something that I don't like to personally see. And it's one of the reasons why I keep doing what I'm doing, because I want our people to see that it doesn't have to go that way. I definitely said that about myself. I was in ministry, doing a lot of ministry, and I always had like a side hustle. I always had this entrepreneur gene. And I used to always say to myself, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be 70, 80 years old, still preaching, praying, and prophesying, but I'm struggling. I ain't got enough to get by. I'm not living like that, man. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. That ain't the will of God. And nobody can't tell me it's the will of God. And just because they have made sense of living like that don't mean I got to make sense of living like that. And I'm not going to make sense of living like that. But it comes down to me saying, I need a personal financial plan. I need to quantify my current quality of life. And I need to quantify my future quality of life so I can know how life is and how life can be as long as I put a plan together. So when you do that, now it's easier for you to focus on your estate planning. Because now you've done the math on these things. So now if you follow the plan that I put together in my Millionaire Blueprint, most likely what you're going to have is, this is how your estate is going to end up looking. And this is the perfect picture of how your estate should be at the end of the day. So we're going to put estate up here. Okay? So this is your estate. That's what we're going to put at the top. So we're going to put you right here. Boom. That's you. Maybe it's you and your spouse. Okay? Y'all two at the top. So when you have a proper estate plan that's put in place because you've done your due diligence with your personal financial plan, your current quality of life, your future quality of life, and if you've done all that planning, you have already factored in certain things that are needed and necessary to make sure that you have peace within your estate. Your life has peace. Your current quality of life has peace. Your future quality of life has peace. Even when you die, your estate, your family has peace because you've put a plan together that actually makes sense. And so you, if it's just you, or if it's your spouse, the both of you, you sit at the top. And most of you that are part of my business coaching program, you're in my Millionaire Mentorship program, always show you that even if you have a personal financial plan, even if you have a personal financial plan, one of the first things I'm going to tell you that you should own, because I believe every family should own it, is a holding company. That's why I'm always talking about these. A holding company. Even if you don't want to run no business, I'm going to tell you to have a holding company because you should be running your personal financial plan through your business, especially for specific reasons. Now, why is this going to be important? I'm going to explain to you why it's going to be important, because what you're going to produce when you put a plan like this together, you're going to produce, just give you an idea, protection. You're producing, or you're creating protection, avoidance, and reduction. This is just a few of the things that you're producing and creating. Now, how am I creating protection? Because I want to protect my assets. I want to protect the things that I own, that I accumulate, and the more I can protect them, the better off me and my family or my estate is going to be. The second thing is going to be avoidance. This is what you're going to create. You're producing this in your estate, avoidance. Why? The first thing you're going to avoid is a mess. You're going to avoid probate court. You're going to avoid people fighting over who get mama bed, who get granddaddy car, all this stuff that we fight over. Who mama said it's supposed to be mine, or daddy didn't get that to them. This is what you're going to avoid. You're going to avoid that mess when you put this type of stuff together. And there's going to be a level of reduction, because even while you're building an estate, just with the holding company attached to your personal financial plan, you're actually creating that already. This is why a lot of times when I'm coaching clients, I'm telling them this is the first thing you need to be focusing on doing, even if you work in a job, because we want to reduce your tax liability on your job, but we want to increase, we want to maximize your deductions, and you're going to do it by having a holding company. Now, of course, you're going to have a trust up here. You can always have a trust, but even if you don't start with a trust, at any time you can plug in a trust right there. It's not that hard to do that. This is why I'm putting this new course and program on my Millionaire Blueprint, to show people who do have holding companies or who want to create them, how to actually create a trust, to make sure that you have your wills in place, your powers of attorney. You want all that stuff, and it's easy to insert that between you and your holding company. Because if you got a holding company now, you're at the top of that holding company. It's easy to insert this trust there once you got this situated. But a lot of people don't even have this stuff situated, so having a trust is like, you ain't got nothing to fund the trust with, right? So I know I'm talking a lot of stuff that you probably don't understand, but I'm at least trying to cover enough for you to see that this is how your estate should be. You're at the top. At some point you inserted a trust, you got your wills, you got other documents like powers of attorneys or HIPAAs, whatever it is that you want to cover. Like if something happens to you, you sick, you can't make decisions, you can't pay your own bills, you can't go to the bank for yourself. What happens when you pass away, what you want your kids to get, what you want the grandkids to get, what are the conditions for them, all that's going to be tied up into that. Your holding company can be controlled by that trust, which can be controlled by you. So this is going to be an important part of your estate planning, but it begins with what? It begins with a personal financial plan. So if you feel like, you know what, I ain't got no estate, I ain't got no assets. Well, you are the asset. Make it personal. Put a personal financial plan together, because this is going to roll over into your estate plan. So you have your trust, wills, other documents that are important. You have your holding company. If you have other operating companies, they're going to be under your holding company. And most of the stuff, if you do it the right way, most of the stuff that you ultimately own is going to either be transferred from your personal life to your holding company or to a subsidiary within your holding company. We're talking about cars. We talking about houses. We're talking about everything. We want to get to a point to where we, as a person, don't own nothing, right? Wealthy people, as personal beings, they don't typically own anything. Their trusts and their holding companies and their operating companies or subsidiaries own those things. They just have control to use them. So this is one of the basic explanations and walkthroughs of estate planning. So again, for those of you that are interested in creating an estate plan for yourself, at least on a do-it-yourself level, and to educate yourself on how important it is and the role that it plays within your personal, professional, and financial life. Within the next few weeks, we're going to be introducing all of the documents and the forms and the how-tos the tutorials, the videos to walk you through each step on our Millionaire Blueprint program. But leading up to then, within the next few weeks, while we finalize all of our documents and forms, you can still get access to that program to start working on your personal financial plan. So if you don't understand how to put a personal financial plan together, if you listen to me about the things that I went over with your current quality of life, your future quality of life, and you still need to learn more and familiarize yourself with it, you got to get to a point where you understand, I need to be educated. I can't just keep, like ignoring this and thinking everything is it ain't going to be all right. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. That sounds good in theory, but that's not how it works. We're not going to be around here talking about, well, everything going to be all right. No, that's what Al Green sung. That was a song he sung, but we ain't going that route. Everything ain't going to be all right until I know it's all right. And so God has given us the wisdom. God has given us strategies. God has given us intelligence and information. He's given us an opportunity to be educated about these things, and we present that in a way so that it can be digestible. You just have to be willing to put the work in. And so the work starts with you, first and foremost, getting access to this information. Well, why it ain't free? Well, why you don't do what you do free? People always talk about why you don't give it away for free. Well, first of all, it wasn't given to me for free. I had to work. I had to put my money and my time and my life into it for years to figure all this stuff out. Like, nobody just gets up in front of a camera every day like I have for years, but more specifically for the past year and 2 months. I have hosted this show every Monday through Friday for over a year, and every Monday through Friday I'm sharing information with you. I cannot even copy and paste that much information if I didn't know it. It's just impossible to do that. There's no way I could be showing up every Monday through Friday talking about all this stuff I be talking about with finances and money and business and entrepreneurship and investing and real estate and wealth building and estate planning and financial strategies and plan, all this stuff. There's no way I could be talking about this stuff if I'm just pulling it from other people and I just show up and I just have a good communication ability to just share it as if I know it. No, I do know it because I'm living it, and I'm sharing with you what I live. And so once I figure certain things out, I repackage it, put it together so that it can make sense to my community. And so it starts with you paying the price now so that your family doesn't have to pay a heck of a price later. Because we got too many people in our community that suffer because of a lack of planning on our part. And so we have control of that narrative. So if you want access to our upcoming estate planning program, along with all of the other programs that we provide for financial literacy, entrepreneurship, business ownership, investing, and wealth building, I want you to text. That's all you have to do. Text the word millionaire to 404. That's all you have to do today. 478-7213. Here's the good part about it. Our Millionaire Blueprint is a $1,500 program that we give you access to for 1 year, and all you have to pay is $125 a month for 12 months. We make it real easy for you. So if your financial future, if your business future, if your family legacy and the future of your family legacy is not worth $125 a month for 12 months, then I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you just need to stay where you at. But if you know it's worth that, I want you to text the word millionaire to 404-478-7213. And if you need me and my team to coach you and to consult you and to assist you in making sure that you're putting the right personal financial plan in place, business financial plan in place, legacy plan in place, if you need us to coach you and work with you on that, we have a Millionaire Mentorship program. It comes with this. We give you this for free in our Millionaire Mentorship program, but we also provide an initial one-on-one coaching session. We can literally go over everything we need to go over to help put this plan together for you and with you in that initial session. And then for the next year, you're going to have access to this Millionaire Blueprint. You're going to have access to our weekly coaching calls that we host every Monday tonight, 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You're going to have access to come in and join me personally for our Millionaire Headquarter Days. Every Thursday, we host a rotation of Millionaire Headquarter Days. So we will schedule a Thursday for you to come in and literally shadow me and my team to see how are they running a $1 million business, probably multi-million dollars by now, but let's just say $1 million business. How's Ramon running a $1 million business? How did he do what he did? And how's he doing what he's doing? You get to see that in those Millionaire Headquarter Days. In that mentorship program, we also give you access to our quarterly masterminds and workshops. So every quarter, every 3 months, we host masterminds and workshops where we train you on the nuts and bolts of sales and marketing, financial systems and tax strategies, holding companies and subsidiaries. We teach you on the nuts and bolts of literally building a successful business system. And guess what? It's available for you. All you have to do is text the word millionaire to 404-478-7213. I've enjoyed today's show. I hope you've enjoyed today's show. Please leave a comment. Let me know what was your biggest takeaway from today's show, or what is the biggest lesson that you learned today? Like, what exactly did you hear today that made the light come on? Say, oh my God, that's it right there. That's what I got to get. That's what I got to focus on. And I would love to know that. And as I mentioned, if you do not have life insurance, I have someone in my coaching program that I'm going to highly recommend for you. She's one of my spiritual daughters. I'm so proud of her. We're going to probably put something together so that we can introduce her to our community in more of a formal way, because I want everybody around me, like everybody around me has to have it. Like, come on, man, you can't even work for me. Like my team know that. Like, I'm gonna pay for it. You gotta have it, because you got to have that peace of mind. It's just certain things you got to have peace on. Because I already know, man, when you ain't got that peace, it's just waking up every day. It's hard enough to be trying to figure out how you going to make ends meet, how you going to make money, how you going to take care of the family. But then on top of that, all these other things going on. But then when we get around to times like this where we get our income tax check. So if you're getting an income tax, maybe I'm going to do a whole show on that this week. I'm going to do a whole show on what you need to do or what you should do with your income tax check. I know some people don't be telling me what to do with my money. Yeah, until you ain't got none. That's what they say. Don't tell me what to do with my money. Yeah, until you ain't got none. Then you want my advice. I see that a lot. I don't hear from nobody when they get that money. Don't tell me what to do with my money until about May or June. Then you want my wisdom and advice. What do you think I should do? No, you should have asked me that 3 months ago when you had eight grand or 5 grand or 10 grand. You should have asked me that. And I ain't throwing, well, I am throwing shade. I'm just saying though. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Thank you for joining me today on the Ramon Preston Show. And if you got offended, I don't know what to tell you, but just get past it. Take notes. Don't take offense. And let's help our people get to their next level. Appreciate y'all. This was good. And guess what? I'm under an hour. Whew, I did good today. Love you. See you tomorrow right here on the Ramon Preston.